An ancient castle stands against the backdrop of mountains, with dragons soaring above and thunder rumbling in the sky. On the throne sits the demon queen, surrounded by an army of the undead. The battle is about to begin. A handsome swordsman, Ishiki Seiya, takes the first step forward. With lightning speed, he slices through the undead standing in his way, getting closer to his ultimate goal. He shouts, "Power up!" At that moment, his powerful ally joins the fight, Kongu Chikara, a mighty warrior. He hurls a massive boulder at the enemy, but the demon queen effortlessly shatters it with a burst of flames. She then channels an enormous surge of fire energy toward them. But suddenly, a sorceress appears and conjures an ice wall to shield her allies. She's not just strong. She's breathtakingly beautiful. The heroes are shocked by the sheer power of her attack and relieved that she arrived just in time. Behind them, a cheerful support character emerges from a portal, bringing healing potions. They turn to Haruto asking if he's ready. "Of course, I'm more ready than ever," he replies. The demon queen laughs, mocking him and his strength. But it looks like he's about to unleash a devastating strike. His name is Kira Haruto, and he is a hero. Across the world, people watch breaking news. The demon queen has been defeated. The people rejoice. It has been nearly 200 years since the gates opened, allowing creatures to enter this world. And now they have finally taken down one of the 7 strongest beings, the demon lords. Every news channel covers the victory. The heroes receive congratulations and hear words of admiration from fans. A reporter meets them, celebrating their triumph. The hero thanks everyone around the world who supported them. The reporter asks how they became so strong, making them pause for a moment. Without hesitation, Kira answers, "Of course, it's all thanks to daily training." The team laughs at his response. Meanwhile, a boy and a girl sit in captivity. His name is Kiryu Makoto Shin, and hers is Kiryu Minori Shin. But surprisingly, their captors are the so-called heroes. The hero thanks them for helping them grow stronger. With a swift slash of his sharp blade, he cuts someone apart. Cutting plants or animals doesn't grant experience. To level up, you must defeat beings, states the manual. But there are exceptions. You can farm the immortals. Now, it's clear why these heroes have become so powerful. As long as they keep eliminating the immortals, they can level up endlessly. The immortal has already regenerated, and now the next heroes are stepping up. One warrior smashes the captive with his massive fists, draining their life force and even breaking a limb. The sorceress incinerates a girl with her spell. She is engulfed in flames. Even though they are immortal, they feel pain every single time. Only a charred skeleton remains. More heroes stand ready, one with potions, another with a sword. The support character force-feeds a girl a poisonous potion, while the swordsman cuts the boy down like a meat grinder. Honestly, this story is fascinating. But I'm starting to feel sorry for them. And yet, the heroes continue to level up endlessly. One of them wipes his brow, saying, "Phew, another great training session," but even this is not enough for them. One of the warriors decides he's had enough for today. Something seems off with the support character. "Lately, I haven't been able to collect poison data the way I want to," he murmurs. The hero tells him not to waste time and invites him to spend time with the ladies. With a crazed smile, the support character replies, "One doll is enough for me." The girl was truly stunning. She caught the eyes of many men, and she was barely dressed. The hero paused for a moment and said, "There's still one thing I haven't tried." He whispered. The support turned to him with a crazed look and foam at the mouth, then called him a genius. They had always focused on destruction, never on creation. The sorceress chanted a spell and directed it at the imprisoned girl. She had nothing to say. "Don't," she whispered. The hero shouted that he was in. The sorceress scoffed. "All men are fools." The hero smirked. He's chained, helpless, forced to watch something irreversible unfold before his eyes. Isn't it a grand spectacle? Suddenly, the boy's chains heat up and melt away. His eyes blaze with fury. He sees everything. Shock overtakes his face. "Stop!" he screams, but he's too weak to intervene. A sharp burst of magic pierces his hands, pinning him to the ground. He curses them all, but before he can finish, cold steel cuts across his throat. "Don't talk during the show." The hero chuckles. Tears stream down his cheeks, but his gaze is filled with rage. When it's all over, they say it's time to leave. Tomorrow will be a long day. The hero calls the support a freak for enjoying this. Then they leave. The iron door slams shut behind them. The boy groans. I can't see. The girl helps him, carefully pulling out the blade. Don't, he whispers, but she still drives the blade into herself, stopping the process. She shudders in pain. The blade clatters to the floor, a pink glow radiating from her. Finish this, she begs her brother. He breathes heavily. Cut off my hand. What? I can't escape the sacred spear otherwise. Minori hesitates but does as he asks. The blade slices through flesh effortlessly. Even with regeneration, the pain is real. I can't anymore. The sister sobs. Do it. Finish it. Another one? Yes. Tears stream down her face. I'm sorry. You did well, the brother murmurs. Suddenly, she drives the blade into his heart. A blinding light flashes. She levels up. They both stare in shock. Why? She freezes in realization. I can gain more with you. Don't, he pleads. This is the only way to make things right. She is determined. Her brother nods. They lock eyes and begin. The brother and sister kill each other. Again and again. Every time a new level. They don't stop. They can't. They won't. Continues endlessly. A beam of light cuts through the dungeon. They stand, covered in blood, smiling. Their power is now beyond imagination. 3 years ago, the support conducted experiments on a creature. The hero watched him. Impressive work, he said. The support didn't expect him to be there. The hero smirked. It's fine, but don't you want to try something better? They headed to a hidden room. The hero turned to the others. Do you want glory? The heroes tensed, intrigued. Right now you have a choice. He paused. Glory can shape your future. One question burned in their minds. Are you ready to follow me? The heroes exchanged glances. Yes. Then, he smiled. Let me show you something special. The hero revealed a hidden passage. Stairs descending. A room no one had ever seen. He placed his hand on a scanner. The door slid open. Darkness. Welcome. The door opened. They stepped into the room. The hero introduced them to a brother and sister. The heroes were shocked by what they saw and condemned him. He told them not to worry because, despite their appearance, they were not actually human. The hero drew his sword and said that these two belonged to an immortal tribe long thought to be extinct. To prove it, he demonstratively beheaded the brother. A horrifying sight. The heroes were in shock. People from that tribe still existed. The boy showed them an app that tracked their levels. This app monitors strength and magical abilities and allows us to fight against monsters. The heroes were stunned to see his level 50. Normally, you couldn't increase your level without killing monsters. Doing so was extremely dangerous, you would simply die. But if you use this, your level will skyrocket. The crazy one absolutely loved the idea. He had always been curious about the structure of such creatures' bodies. As he cut her into pieces, he asked how she felt, and gained another level. He loved it, and he wanted more. The other heroes were already anticipating the thrill of killing these monsters. They were ready, after all, they weren't human. So there was no problem. And the slaughter began. Easy, the hero said. Present time. The heroes were heading to an interview. Meanwhile, the lunatic descended into the basement. He told the girl he had missed her. But he wasn't prepared to see this. The brother was killing his sister. The boy screamed at him to stop. The brother and sister stood before him in perfect condition. Normally, when you kill a creature of equal or lower level, the experience gain is small. But when you kill something stronger, the amount of experience skyrockets. They had leveled up by killing each other, and continued training this way. Their bodies had undergone extreme changes overnight. The boy was horrified by these monsters. They started advancing toward him. He stepped back, but it didn't look like he could escape. He smashed a button, an alarm. The brother and sister were ready. He released a chimera, a mighty beast, against them, but they weren't afraid in the slightest. A psychopath unleashed a fiery chimera on a brother and sister. The brother told his sister to step aside and leave it to him. The psychopath sneered, saying he had no chance against the chimera. The young man tried to calm the chimera, but that only made it even more enraged. The psychopath suggested they return to their shackles and continue providing him with experience. He said they would make an interesting mix with the chimera. The sister imagined what kind of child could be born from a chimera and an immortal. Her brother shielded her from such dark thoughts and said, "I'll take you down." The psychopath began provoking and taunting him. the chimera suddenly charged forward. The young man dodged its attack. The chimera smashed through walls with its massive body. The young man hadn't expected such strength and speed. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a hand emerging from a portal, holding a knife. He tried to evade it but wasn't fast enough. Blood dripped from his hand. The psychopath told him not to run away. The psychopath used his skill. When a person levels up, they gain a special ability. Skills depend on a hero's innate talents, which evolve over time. Tora had always possessed a variety of skills, but he was best at handling objects, taming beasts, pharmacy, and assassination. His ability allowed him to connect different spaces using portals. With teleportation, he appeared unexpectedly from different angles, striking without warning. The chimera also attacked unpredictably alongside the psychopath. The young man was injured, his arm had torn wounds. The chimera's tail wrapped around his leg. At the end of the tail was a snake's head. Lifting him upside down, the chimera let his arms dangle limply. With immense force, it slammed him into the ground and severed his leg. The psychopath and chimera gained the upper hand over him. The psychopath mocked him, saying that even with regeneration he was weak, just a puppet for them to farm experience. The sister watched the battle from a distance, growing more anxious. But her brother stood up, reattaching his severed limb like a piece of Lego, regenerating instantly. The psychopath said, "It's about time we ate you." The chimera snarled aggressively and lunged at the young man, sinking its teeth into his body. But something was off. The chimera froze. Then it collapsed to the ground. It seemed to dislike the taste of the young man, judging by the green sludge dripping from its mouth. The psychopath, now alarmed, asked, "What happened?" The young man stood up, regenerating, and said, "This could have been avoided." It seemed the psychopath had a deep attachment to his chimera, and now he was ready for revenge. With a flurry of attacks, he tried to kill the immortal. The young man warned him, "You should have stayed away from my blood." Suddenly, the psychopath's hands began to burn. The young man was confused. His own hands were melting from the venom, and he collapsed to the ground. It was a special ability, one that dissolved enemies. He hadn't expected this. It turned out that the psychopath himself had given him this ability, poisoning him for years. Realizing this, the psychopath laughed. The immortal made an incision, releasing all the venom back onto the psychopath. The psychopath started dissolving, writhing in agony. The immortal delivered a series of powerful blows. The psychopath couldn't withstand the sheer force. Tears welled in his eyes. He knew what was coming next. He begged for mercy, but the immortal had no intention of forgiving them after years of torment. He clenched his fist and struck, ripping the psychopath's soul from his body. Even as his soul faded, the psychopath continued to plead for mercy. The immortal activates the regeneration skill on the psychopath. The psychopath asks, "Why did you heal me?" The immortal responds, "Isn't it obvious?" The psychopath doesn't quite understand. Earlier, he had asked the immortal what it felt like to be immortal and experience being slashed by a knife. It seems that now the psychopath is lucky, he will experience it himself. At that moment, the other heroes were already approaching. One of them calls out the psychopath's name and finds a dead chimera lying on the floor. A young man anxiously opens a door, shouting his name. He notices an inscription, and then the psychopath hanging from the ceiling. The power of adamantite. This man is the strongest in his country. Many men want to be like him, but his closet is full of secrets about his unfathomably cruel nature. No one knows about this, so they continue to admire him. He gives advice to newcomers, saying they must be strong and strive to do more. Turning his back to the young men, they admire him and want to reach his level 200. As he leaves, he chuckles slyly at his own words. A year ago, he simply farmed his level using the immortals. And he never stopped, continuing to gain experience dishonestly. He slaughtered defenseless immortals to become stronger. Endless farming. He says it's no fun when they don't react or listen. The immortal makes no sound, he just wants this day to be over. But the monster wants to make them scream in pain. And so he lands painful blows, one after another. He also does not forget about the sister. An endless torment they do not deserve. Present day. A big guy is lifting weights when a hero bursts in. Realizing something has happened, he rushes to the basement. Everyone is in shock at what they see. They try to find out where the brother and sister have gone. The hero begins to worry. What if the world finds out the truth about them? The big guy is in a panic when he suddenly notices a laptop. There are some files open on it. It turns out to be a video recorded by the brother, showing him torturing the psychopath. Watching the footage is deeply unsettling. They want revenge. They don't understand what the hero intends to do. The hero slashes the psychopath with his sword, severing his head. The body falls from the ceiling. The big guy asks, "Why did you do that?" The hero responds, "The psychopath was no longer fit to survive." The hero is supported. The sorceress says that even magic couldn't have healed him. The big guy falls to his knees in despair. He weeps in rage, pounding the ground with his fists. He swears to kill them. The hero says, "It's pointless." Another hero doesn't understand his words. The hero asks, "Am I wrong?" The sorceress says they need to tell the world that one of them has died. They consider going to the police, but the hero says they need to prepare for an online podcast. Meanwhile, the brother and sister escape the city. The sister stumbles, saying her legs feel weak. They stop to rest, relieved that they managed to escape. It was pure hell for them, but now they are safe. Under the moonlight, the sister falls asleep on his lap. The young man yawns but stays awake. He knows they could still be pursued. Even though he is exhausted, he keeps watch. Suddenly, he hears footsteps approaching. He gets ready and moves quickly through the trees, investigating. In the middle of the forest, he sees a house with a light on. He wonders if someone might be inside. Then, he senses someone behind him, but it's too late. A blade slices into his neck, and he falls from the tree onto the ground. He is not alone. A gang surrounds him. The young man is clearly not happy about this encounter. He tries to question them. Who are they? They don't seem like good people. It looks like they were deliberately hunting them. They have one mission: kill him, and they think it will be easy. The sorceress began casting a spell of strength, directing it toward her comrades. The brute was already prepared for battle and swung his club, striking a man on the head. He chuckled and said it was too easy. The immortal rose from the dead and adjusted his neck. It seemed the others didn't like that very much. He cracked his neck as if nothing had happened. "Who do you serve?" he asked. They remained silent. Not that it mattered to him. In an instant, he vanished from their sight and struck the brute with a devastating blow. The others were already trembling in fear. The brute collapsed, unconscious. The immortal's eyes burned with fury. Two men attacked him from both sides, slicing off his arm with a sharp sword. One of them grinned, clearly pleased with himself, but it seemed he had celebrated too soon. The immortal retaliated, striking one man with a brutal punch and grabbing the other by the face before slamming him into the ground with tremendous force. Only the sweet-looking sorceress remained. She cast a spell, a violet glow surging toward him. The immortal failed to dodge the flash of light, but it didn't matter. He was, after all, immortal. The sorceress realized she had no idea what she was dealing with. An immense burst of violet energy exploded, but the immortal remained unfazed. Powerless, she turned and ran, but there was no escaping him. He strung them up in the trees and took their clothes that, incidentally, suited him much better. He returned to his sleeping sister. She woke up at the sound of his footsteps. "Where did you get those clothes?" she asked. "A kind person gave them to me," he replied. She smiled, delighted. He had clothes for her, too. They changed, ready to move on. Their new outfits suited them so well, they could walk a fashion runway. Under the moonlight, they wandered through the forest, relishing their freedom. They decided to rest by a waterfall, setting up a campfire. The brother rummaged through his backpack. Inside, he found some candy. Not much, but enough for his sister. As he sat, he reflected on the bandits who had attacked him. All they had were weapons and basic survival gear. "I'll go to the city," he said. "I need to gather some information and stock up on supplies." His sister had to stay behind and find a good hiding spot. The immortal arrived in the city, its lights glowing with life and civilization. He entered a weapons shop and sold the bandits' belongings, earning a decent sum. With this money, he could feed his sister well. After visiting the supermarket, he sat on a bench, deep in thought. What should he do next? He could think of only one thing: heroes. He wanted to know their weaknesses. Looking up, he spotted a massive airship in the sky. A live broadcast played on its screen, hosted by one of the heroes. They were talking about a recently deceased hero. The crowd was in shock, shouting that it was too cruel. Then, the screen displayed the killers. The brother immediately recognized them. Mercenaries. The hero declared that they would be hunted down, that there was nowhere to hide. The crowd roared for justice. The immortal listened from his bench, understanding one thing. These people had power over the masses, but he was ready to revenge. A few days after the siblings' escape, the heroes are gathered, and the big guy punches the young man for failing to gather information. The sorceress mentions that they have leveled up significantly and might not even need them anymore. The hero worries that if people find out what they did to them, things will turn out very badly. The young man reassures him, saying that he publicly declared them criminals and placed a 500 million yen bounty on their heads. The big guy is unhappy that they simply want to let them go after what they did to one of them. He yells that he will never forgive them for what they did to their friend. He promises to find them and make their lives a living hell. The sorceress says she understands his feelings, but Tora lost because he was the weakest among them. The big guy gets furious, outraged that she would dare say that, and starts to raise his hand, but the sorceress binds him with her magic and asks him to calm down. The young man asks them not to get worked up and says that the message the siblings left means they will try to find them. That means they will come right into their hands. After all, the whole world is on our side. If someone spots them, we will get the information immediately. There's no need to rush. We still have to kill the Demon King. It had been a tough day for them, and they needed to rest and start anew. But the big guy couldn't calm down. He wanted revenge. Switching back to the siblings near a beautiful waterfall. They rejoice in the new day, the sun warming them, wishing each other a good morning. The sister says that for the first time, she slept without nightmares. The brother states that they've rested enough and it's time to leave. If they stay too long, they'll be easy to find. The sister points out that they are being hunted worldwide and are considered criminals. The brother pulls something out of his bag, a mask to hide their faces. This might just work. And oh, how well these masks suit them. They pack their belongings, clean up after themselves, and set off. They head toward a dungeon. Gates that separate the real world from the fantastical one. A world inhabited by mystical creatures where ordinary humans cannot even take a single step. This world has a complex landscape, resembling a labyrinth, making it a great hiding place. Based on a map he bought from a merchant in the city, there is a poison swamp at the top of the mountain. It's a highly dangerous zone, so hunters are unlikely to venture there. That's where they will set up their base. They approach the portal, unsure where it leads, but no matter what happens, they will always be together. Holding hands, they step through. The portal is stunning inside, revealing a breathtaking spectacle. They find themselves in another world, amidst the poison swamp. No one can enter except those immune to poison. The brother steps on a plant nearby, and it suddenly opens up, launching a projectile at his head. He quickly realizes that stepping on the vines triggers the plant's defense mechanism, and judging by the surroundings, the area is full of such traps. The sister's eyes widen as she points at something ahead. The brother asks what's wrong, then looks up. Two fantastical creatures, one white and one black, stand before them. "Don't worry, leave this to me," he says. The wolf lunges aggressively, but the brother is ready. With a single strike, he crushes the creature like a mere insect. He is shocked at how easily he took it down, until suddenly another creature bites him in half. All the sister sees are his legs, but in an instant the brother regenerates. This creature is far more powerful, an entirely different level. It is far stronger than a chimera. Unexpectedly, the sister begins casting a spell. The brother feels a surge of energy and grows significantly stronger. Even his severed hand starts moving. He senses his hand, directing it toward the massive white wolf. His hands begin prying the wolf's jaws open. Once its mouth is fully open, he prepares his next attack. With incredible force, he delivers a devastating blow to the wolf. The sister asks if he's okay. The brother, catching his breath, simply replies, "Just a little tired." This ability, manipulating one's own body, could be extremely useful. A month after the siblings' escape, the brute hurls a massive boulder at a dragon. The impact sends the dragon flying backward, impaling it on a sharp rock. Without hesitation, the brute charges at the next dragon, grabbing its wing and tearing it off, causing immense pain. One by one, the dragons fall and he levels up. Even as he stands victorious, his mind lingers on the siblings. He wants to find them. His team urges him not to rush, mentioning that one of them has information about a masked individual. A friend of theirs reportedly saw something strange in the poisonous swamp. A masked man took down a venomous snake with his bare hands. The A-rank monster's venom is potent enough to kill a mountain elephant instantly. The informant couldn't imagine anyone but Kango-san being capable of handling such a snake alone. The brute is in disbelief. Killing a snake barehanded is beyond impressive. He has to meet this guy. The man informs him that this event occurred 3 days ago, meaning the masked individual might still be there. His team warns him that the swamp is a restricted zone. In response, the brute punches the man in the face, knocking him to the ground. He declares that they are heading there immediately, eager to meet this mysterious warrior. The poisonous swamp. Back at the breathtaking yet dangerous swamp, the masked young man senses something amiss. Not far from him, a portal begins to open. It's Kango. His sister, confused, asks what is happening. The brother jumps down from a tree, stating that it's time. His sister pleads for him not to leave her. He reassures her, reminding her that they have grown stronger. Now is his chance for revenge. He asks her not to look so worried. After all, they are immortal. But despite his words, she still urges him to be careful. Kango is a true monster. With a bright flash, she imbues him with a strength-enhancing spell, and he dashes off to confront his enemy. Hiding behind a tree, he activates Vision Enchantment 2, spotting the brute stepping out of the portal. He waits for the right moment to strike from behind. Then, noticing a pig-like creature nearby, he decides to use it to his advantage. He slices his finger with a sharp dagger, embedding it into the pig while casting a hypnotic spell. The creature begins to experience hallucinations, allowing the masked young man to control what it perceives. He commands the bewitched pigs to charge forward. The brute and his men notice the stampede. Perfect for a warm-up, he says, preparing for battle. One after another, they easily take down the frenzied swine. But it's too easy for the brute, he craves more. One of his men suddenly requests a break, complaining of an unwell feeling. The brute gets irritated, but before he can scold him, the man's eyes turn bloodshot, and foam begins to ooze from his mouth. Within moments, the entire team collapses, breathless. The brute detects a strange scent. It's coming from the slain pigs. Poison. What the hell is going on here? He growls. At that moment, the masked young man attacks from behind. The brute barely reacts in time, countering with a punch. He instantly recognizes his opponent. It's the masked figure from the rumors. The young man thrusts his knife, piercing straight through the brute's hand. But before he can withdraw, the brute clenches his fist, trapping the blade and grabbing him with his other hand. He prepares to deliver a crushing blow, but the masked young man blocks it. He's not the weakling he once was. The brute smirks, impressed. Not bad. You live up to the rumors. Then, unexpectedly, his demeanor changes. His tone shifts from battle-hungry to fanatical. I like you, he declares. The masked young man is completely bewildered. The brute grins. I respect strong men. Those guys? They died because they were weak. He extends his hand. Join me. Let's be friends.